Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We have a bunch of chashva guests. Name? Yisrael Moshe Wine from Waterbury. There you go. And your name? Joe Mizrahi. Okay, fine. Tinek.
And my son, Leo.
And your son? Leo. What's your name, Tzadik? Aaron Hirsch from? Central Jersey, Lakewood. Shalom Aleichem, Reb Aaron. By the way, Aaron Hirsch yesterday hired a taxi. It's a big no-no to go from Yerushalayim all the way up north to visit Avi Mandelbaum and back. And he said it was very well worth it. So unbelievable. The achdus, the chesed, the whole thing. It's one package deal. Chesed entire. It's unbelievable. Who else do we have here? Oh, Shalom Aleichem. You look so familiar. Father? Wow. How's it going with Waterbury? They're still going strong. Is Rosh Hashiva doing it?
He's coming to speak.
But does he do the daf? At one point he was there. He got the voice to do it. Okay, Givaldi. Oi, we got to start it over. You ready? The boys' clubhouse planned 2022 trip. Please send regards to Reb Eli from Reb Moshe Frankel. Reb Moshe Eliyahu Hibbert says in Chachli Yeshivas Chachmi Lublin. You guys ready? Here you go. Okay, Givaldi. Somebody sent me this picture. I thought it was amazing. This is Reb Meir Shapiro giving a shir in Chacham Levin. It just so happens to be that they sent me. I didn't even put it. When I put it together, I had no clue. But if you look closely, there's only like 4 Gemaras on the left side total. Everybody's looking in to 4 Gemaras. What we have today, it's unbelievable. Everybody gets a free art scroll, a free this. Okay.
Only 4 looking.
Alan Khan, what?
Only 4 looking.
Right. The other ones are like looking for. It's difficult to look from. I thought about that. Okay. I've been meaning to email. Are we announcing today anything or it's tomorrow? Yeah? I thought we were waiting for like a video. Should we talk about it today? Huh? Okay, so our boy said the very first MDY remote location in Yerushalayim, starting this Motzei Shabbos in Shari Chesed. The exact location, I don't know. What is it called? Minchas Chinuch. Oh, we're being mechanech Yerushalayim with this new. They're going to be watching the shir live every single day. Be'ezer Hashem. Great coffee machine, great chevra. So if you live in Yerushalayim, I met somebody that learns the daf by himself every single day next to the Waldorf. So just a few blocks away. Be part of the olam. I'll see you there, Motzei Shabbos. Be'ezer Hashem. I'm going to be there to kick it off. This Motzei Shabbos shir in Yerushalayim, and more details following. I've been meaning to email you for a while now after hearing the Achenu singing couldn't have come at a better time, and after being in the ER with my mom for hours, Baruch Hashem, she's doing better. I want to let you know that I've been learning with you for over a year since Masechtas Rosh Hashanah, which I've been able to be part. The title of this email is Tremendous Bracha. I like this email. It's nothing, no chidushim, but it's all in one email here. So since Rosh Hashanah he made numerous siyumim, learned a tremendous amount, was zeichet to introduce 12 people to MDY and be a better person. That is on the neshama side. Baruch Hashem, also on the gashmi side, I've seen tremendous bracha as well. A year ago, I was not happy with my job, and since the past year, I've changed jobs twice, one better than the other. I've been zeichet to buy a house, which is in Great Neck, and it's a very difficult task. That's really needed for my family. In my mind, I did say, listen to this one, I like this one. I did say I would sign up for the MDY monthly in his mind. And after you teaching the other week saying that this could be a binding neder, I finally signed up the other week. So if anybody had that thought for a second, you better sign up right now. Thank you again for all you and your team do, the lives you change, and the achdus you bring to Klal Yisrael, your Talmud, Alan Khan. P.S. I also signed up my barber last week after you shared the email of the other member did the same. Here is somebody sent me in. Spotted in a borough park on 13th Avenue, 8-minute daf. But what they don't know is that I actually have that plate. I believe this is Yisrael Goldstein's car. Even has the thing and everything. Okay, Shkoyach. Dear Belly, I joined the After the Meaningful podcast. Many times I'm very tired to do this. Is a great one. Great Eitzah. I'm very tired. And I say to myself, I'll do Amud Aleph and do Amud Beis later. By the time I get to Amud Beis, there's only 2 minutes left anyways in the shir. So I do the whole thing, LOL. Great way to trick the Sahara. Michal, why? No, it's actually a great trick. Anytime, like, if you're not in the mood to learn the daf, like you're so tired, you just do 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Sometimes those 2 minutes end up being 5, 10, but at least 2. If you need to work out, so just do 1 push-up. Do 1 thing. Don't let the day go by without anything. Here's Joey Newcomb, Rabbi Isai. You put on loud volume.
Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Mama should come out, by the way.
How do you start a cat?
Levi, so what are you going to do? Rebelli's bringing the simcha of Torah to the whole belt. Mama should come out.
I don't know. You already have simcha, this guy. Joey the Mesamech. The Koilel, the month. May we always be able to support Torah, and may the Torah protect us from any harm. The Masechta in Zgula Katorah and Tומכיה כיעקב ויעל. The month. Zechrya b'Moshe. And the art, the very first month of art, is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood, schus of his nieces, Shiduchim. Today, Rabbi Isai, is the yahrzeit of the Heilige Maharsha. I searched, unfortunately, you didn't have anything on our daf. There is a story that's not my style, but because so many people say it, and it's like the famous story about the Maharsha, I'll say it, and you can do whatever you want with the story. I know you, Rachamim, are going to believe the story 1,000%. I'm a little bit apicurious when it comes to these things. But the story goes that he was nifted like 400 years ago or something, that at his levaya, there was a thing that you couldn't go past the church because the priest did some sort of spell on Klal Yisrael, and every time the levaya would have to go by the church to get to the basic flowers, and he would ring the bells and do something, and people would start going into the church. They didn't know what happened. So they would go around. The Maharsha said, at my levaya, I want you to go right through, right past the church, but put my chidushim on top of my aron. So they went, and the priest started shaking the bells, and it says that the Maharsha sat up, and he started reading his chidushim, and every page that he turned, the church went down 1 bit, until there was nothing left, and then he went back. Azoi Zokta, you could look it up yourself. That's the story about the Maharsha, but the Maharsha is to learn the sugi with Maharsha is unbelievable. And his name is, by the way, the Aleph stands for Edelsh. Edelsh. She was a woman that brought him up. I think she was like a stepmother or something. So he named his sefer. He gave her that kind of recognition because she brought him up. Anyway, another thing is, Rabbi Isai, don't forget to sign up your friends for Nedarim Volume 2. Don't stand on the wayside watching your friends not learn. It's a great time to start. Volume 2 starting soon. It's shipping right now. Nedarim Volume 2. Zokti Gemara, we're holding Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis. 4 lines down. I had a question for Rava. Kikari Alecha. So we have a very special introduction, a new character. Be'ez Hashem will try to use him a little bit more often. Here goes the brand new character for this. Anybody recognize him? Official. Kikari Alecha. By the way, do you have my thing? Not later. Okay, fine. Gishmak. It's not. So he says, Kikari, my loaf of bread. By the way, that's like hand-designed bread. I don't know, hopefully we'll get to use it in shas some other time. My kikar is aser alecha. So he's saying 2 opposing statements here, really. It's mine on you. What's an afkimina? And he goes ahead, Fishel goes ahead and gives it to the guy that he says that my bread is aser on you. He goes and he gives it to him as a gift. Mao. Kikari amarloi. Do we look at the first word or do we look at the second word? The first word says, my loaf of bread. Now, once I give it to you, it's not my loaf of bread anymore. It should be mutter. You shouldn't be also in that bread. Ki isi b'rshusei hu da'aser. It's only when Fishel owns the bread, it's in his hands. But once he gives it, he gives it. Oidilma alecha amarle. He said, no, I'm imposing the neder upon you. You are aser. He said, no nafkamina, who owns the bread? You, me. The isser is alecha, the second word. Ilavei shavisi hagdish. By the way, we're going to see that today very, very clearly, that when a person makes a neder, he can make the object Usr like Hegdish. To what point? What does it mean, Hegdish? Hegdish is literally like the Beis Hamikdash. I'm saying my loaf of bread should be Hegdish to you. So I'm going to ask you a silly question, almost seems silly. So if I make my loaf of bread Hegdish to you, and then you use the loaf of bread, are you chayiv a carbon as if you used Hegdish? No way, right? No way. Yes, you're chayiv a carbon like you used Hegdish. Unbelievable. That's a Chiddush Atzum. That's the Mishnah that we're going to be learning today. I knew you were going to say no. It's like, doesn't make any sense. Because you assered it like a carbon and the isser of a carbon. Yeah, we'll see. Zok the Gemara. Amalei Pshita. I just want to make sure that you didn't look ahead. That you didn't do today's exam. Great. Amalei Pshita. The Avagav the Yohavli b'matana asur. There's a long statement here. It goes. It's one thing until the end of the Amud. So Rava says, I'll tell you and I'll prove to you that if I aser my loaf of bread on you, and then I give it to you as a gift, the isser remains on the bread. Why? I'll prove it to you. You could take out the word lav, you could put in the word lav, but the meaning is the same. Lapuke, right? So this is Nedarim, so we take out words, we put out different girsas, like almost every daf, there's a different girs in the Ran than we have on the actual Gemara. Okay. So he's saying very simple, let's say it outside. Why would Reuven tell Shimon, you cannot use my loaf of bread? There are two options. Either he gives him the loaf of bread and he can't use it, or he doesn't give him the loaf of bread. And what happens? Shimon comes into his house and steals the loaf of bread. Well, is Reuven really trying to avoid that case where Shimon comes into his house, sneaks through the window and steals a loaf of bread? And that's why he told him, you can't use my loaf of bread? Probably not. He's probably saying, no matter what, even if I give you this loaf of bread, you can't have it. You can't use it. So let's see inside. So, but when he makes a neder and he says, you cannot use my loaf of bread, what was he trying to accomplish? Is he trying to say, I said, you could say the word, you don't say the word, the Ran takes it out. You want to say it? Let's say it. My love, was he trying to say that you can't steal it from me? Of course not. Nobody steals his other Yisurim for stealing. Forget the neder. If the guy doesn't care about stealing, he won't care about making a neder you made on him. There's a third case. What are the three options? Either I give it to you nicely as a gift, or you take it forcefully. And what's the third option? I don't give it to you and you don't take it forcefully. I put it on the table and I invite you as a guest to my wedding, to my house for Shabbos. And it's amazing Shiloh. And they actually talk about it. When you go to a wedding, when you go to somebody's house, do you own the food? You take a piece of fish, it's on your plate. Is it yours or it's the balabasas? So look at the Ran. The last words in the Ran on the summit. Dahi shato namiki korei. Says the Ran, when you eat by somebody's house, the bread on the table is not the guest's. And the bread on the guy's plate is not the guest. It remains the owner, the balabas's bread. And when you go to a wedding and they give you a portion, it's not yours until you put it in your mouth. When you put it in your mouth, it becomes yours. Could I go to a wedding and take the portion, take it home? Could I take my portion and be mekadesh a woman on the other side of the mechitza? It's a shaila in halacha, literally. Could you be mekadesh a woman? That's a big shaila.
It was the shaila, tell them about the bottle that the guy opened up in the chasana.
Yeah.
There was the car inside the bottle cap. It was machlokes, who does it belong to?
That's Mistama, Rav Zilberstein shaila.
Yeah, no,
it's a theoretical shaila.
It wasn't theoretical.
A guy won. Reb Nachman saying that he won a raffle on. He opened up the bottle, and he won the $1 million thing. Punked at the chas. Shaila. Okay, fine. That's a shaila.
What? That was
so
between the caterer, the balabais, and the person who opened the bottle.
So the Ramah says he talks about kiddushin. Ramah says you cannot be mekadesh. And look, the raya is that you're not allowed to give the guy's son. If you're at a guy's table eating there, you're not allowed to take. The Gemara says you're not allowed to take from your food and give to the guy's kid. It's not yours to give to him. But the others argue and they say that Gemara is because we had over there where somebody killed his own son. because you're so embarrassed with the food and not food. So you don't give somebody's kid food, but it doesn't mean it's not yours to be mekadesh. The bottom line is, Rav Vazna says something very interesting. I like this Rav Vazna a lot because I just had this pet peeve. Somebody told me this week, Mamish this week, he said he was at a parent-teacher conference, and he saw somebody pile up 3 plates of kugel, because that's what they were serving, and took it home. Is that okay? Rav Vazna says gneva, srach gneva. And I see it all the time. I see kids taking out plates of barekis, whatever it is, ragalach, the whole thing, the entire plate. That's not what the balabas is. The balabas allows you probably to give 1 cookie, 2 cookies, to show something to your wife, but don't pile it up. Don't go mishuga. The booze, steaks, the whole, Huh? Raw meat, that's what he's saying. It's not his favorite story. The guy's sitting here in the shir right now. I hope. I don't know. I have no idea where he is. What? The lounge in the airport. All right, so that's from Enochanami. Same kind of shiloh. So in the lounge, they probably know a guy's going to take 1 or 2 bottles of water. It's all. So he says it's a srach gzela. You hear, Nachman? It's a srach gzela. But he says that if you're at the end of the wedding where they throw, and he brings me forward. In America, they throw it out. There's like a law, you're not even giving to tzedakah. They know you're going to throw it out. He says also flowers. People come to the table, they start taking flowers. Make taste the balabas lets. You got to be careful with these things. Okay. But over here, the Ran says it's not your portion to be mekadesh a woman with it until it goes into your mouth. It didn't obviously didn't go to your mouth because you mekadesh her with it. So as you semi-chewed it and then you get mekadesh, then it's okay. Fine. Eisvei. Daf Yomi Amud Aleph. Omar loy hashileni paroscha. Omar loy. I have to go all the way back here for a second. Okay, so there's a nice cartoon here from this Bensi guy. I don't know if you can see it so well. There's a top and there's a bottom. Basically, what happens is the guy on the left shows up. He says, "I see you have a nice cow. Could I borrow your cow? I need to get somewhere. Whatever. I need transportation. I need some milk." So the guy says, "I swear to you, I don't have other cows. This is my only cow, and I'm dependent on it." And as he's talking to him, poof, the door opens up and 100 cows run out. But he makes a neder. He says, "I promise you, I swear to you, I make a neder, I don't have any other cows." The guy meanwhile has moo, like everybody, there's a big commotion. No. Like, who are you going to believe, me or the cows? I'm telling you there's no other cows. And the only time, when it popped open and they all ran out, then the neder, you see that he was lying. But what did he say in his neder? He says, "I swear I don't have another cow, and if I do have other cows, this cow that I'm showing you right here that you see is asar on you. Everything I own is asar on you." Let's see it inside. Omar loy, Eisvei. Omar loy shileni piroscha. Now Rav is the one that says that if you're mudar ana, so you're asar on the chayfetz, even what? Even if I give you a matana. I say this loaf of bread, Fishel said this loaf of bread is asar to you, and then Fishel went ahead and he gave you the loaf of bread, it's still asar to you. Huh?
Milo.
Who?
Milo. Kikori.
Yeah, my loaf of bread. Kikari alecha. My loaf of bread. What did I say? Okay, not ze, right, not ze. The Rishonim talk about ze, right. Kikari, very good. You have to know how to differentiate the words. Kikari, not kikar ze. Although there's somebody on the side here, the guys see him bring ze, but most Rishonim are, you're right. We got to be makir in the way we say things. Kikari, he said. I'm making a koinam. Koinam is a lashon of a carbon, strong lashon, a neder that this para that you are looking at is going to be asur to you. Everything I own is going to be asur to you. Im yeshli para elazu. If I don't have more than this cow, and of course it became known that he has a lot more than this one cow. Hashileni kardumcha. Let me just go back real quickly. Okay, here's a kardoim, sort of like a shovel, a spade. Omar loy koinem kardoim sheyesh li shani kanui. If I have another, obviously he sees that one. If he has a second one, I make a neder. I don't have a second one. Nichosai olai olecha. We have to put over here. All my nechosim are also on you. Im yesh li kardoim elazeh. If I have another shovel. And we find out that he has 2 shovels. We find out he has 2 cows. What do? B'chayav, the guy that owns the cow, that owns the shovel, the madir, he's the madir, right? He's the one that makes the neder. Asur. There's a lot of confusion yesterday. I'll go over it when I show the thing. It was confusing. The concept of I'm making myself asur. Me, I am asur on you. And how do you pick that in a picture? And people said you put the wrong thing on this. There was a lot of back and forth. I got emails about it. Givaldi. Okay. Hopefully next time we have that kind of sugi, we'll have it a little. I had another mahalach yesterday. Literally worked on it probably 3-4 hours. Just had to draw it where there's less confusion. And it still didn't work. Huh? No, something else. Okay. It's not Motzei Shabbos. What are you doing?
Say 3 hours you drawing.
I didn't draw for 3 hours. We were coming up. It wasn't even me. Guys in the koil were coming and everybody had a different thing. Fine. Okay. So this guy, the mudder, is usher in all the madder stuff because he made a neder. You cannot use any of my stuff if I have another cow. Mace. But if the madir, do I have a here? Here's a madir and a mudder. Yeah? Noam is holding a shovel. And then Avi wants a shovel from him. So Noam makes a neder. He says, I'm making a neder that if I have a second shovel, you can't even use this first shovel. You can't use anything of mine. So, Mace, if the mother, the other guy, Mace, or, and this is what we're looking for, this case. If the mother does this, he gives it to him, he gave it to him. Now it's not his anymore. Notice the words. He says, if I have it, if I own it, if I this, then you can't have it. He doesn't own it anymore. It's not included in his words. So, what do you see here? When a guy dies, it's very important. When a guy dies, it's not his anymore. He owned this shovel, and then he died. They put him in the grave. Whose shovel is it? Not his, because when a person dies, he doesn't own a single thing. It's interesting. I said the story, but now I have a little bit of a sub of the story. They said about a multimillionaire who died. He left two wills. The first will, he said, open up before you bury me. The second will, open up in 30 days. So the first will said, and this happened recently. Yosef. Yeah. Okay. Yosef. That leaving.
That leave it.
Fine. I go on him. So they open up the will, and it says, "Please bury me with my socks." They went to the Rav. The Rav said, "No way. There's no burying. Nobody gets buried with socks." So they felt very bad. That was the one thing the father wanted. 30 days later, they open up the second will. It says, "Well, why didn't you bury me with the socks? I told you to bury me with socks. You didn't, obviously." Do you know why? Because when a person dies, they don't bring anything with them. Not even their socks. Not even if I'm Mr. Gazillionaire. Nothing. Not even socks. Like this Gemara right here. So this was in the magazine called Shah Taiva. Another magazine, a famous one called Mishpacha magazine, brought the story and brought the grandchild of this billionaire. And the guy, he wrote an article, and it says, there's a famous saying in Hebrew, L'sheker ein raglayim. And now he wrote an article called L'sheker ein garbayim. And he wrote that this is a lie. The story is a lie. However, my grandfather would have loved the story. He would have had a lot of honor from the story. So, that's the story. But Akoban, whether you like the story or not, there's a big musaskel. Nobody takes, not even a kardim, you don't even take a shovel to the grave. They shovel you into the grave, but you don't bring the shovel with you. You don't get to keep it. Zok the Gemara. What's going on here is so we have a kasha here. Rava says that if you get a gift, you get a matana, it's still usher on you. And over here it says mafurish oy shenitla b'matana, that if you get this thing as a gift, you are permitted to use the cow, even though the mother said to the mother, "You're not allowed to use my cow ever." That's if the mother owns it. He said, "My cow." But once he becomes your cow, then you are permitted to use it. This is a kasha on Rava. Says the Gemara, we're talking about a third person. So here, take a look at this. Very geschmack. Over here we have Yossi Klein, stress the reef pill, and Noam gives Yossi Klein the shovel, and Yossi Klein in return gives it to Avi. So you're right. Ruvain said that Shimon can never use the shovel, but that's only when it comes as a direct gift from Ruvain to Shimon. Rava says, even in that case, you're not allowed to use it. But if there's a guy in between them, Yossi Klein, then Shimon could use, the mother could use the shovel. Shalom Aleichem Tzadik, where are you from? What's your name?
Manchester.
Ooh, Manchester. Yeah. I see. That him I don't recognize. Was he there? No, he's in Yerushalayim. Okay, what's your name? Remind me your name. Neuvert? Neufeld. Very nice. What does it mean? Like a nice field? Like a combination of Hebrew and Yiddish? It's a new field. Okay. Swiss. So mishpacha. Okay. Ora Rashi. Dekanami. Diktani shenitna loy v'loy katani shenisana loy. We pronounce it as if there's a yud, as if there's a chirik under the nun. It's the same, the Ram points out, it's the same 4 letters. Nun, Sof, Nun, Hey. Or Taf, however you want to pronounce it. The point is, Nitna means it was given to him from a separate party. Reuven didn't give it to Shimon. It was given to Shimon. What does it mean, given? If we're talking about Reuven and Shimon, how was it given to Shimon? It should say he gave it to Shimon. The answer is because he never gave it to Shimon. He sold it, or he gave it away to the plumber. And the plumber gave it to Shimon. Okay, so what's the halacha? Again, the round always goes in. The halacha is like Rava, that if somebody gives a matana after he swears, he makes a neder that he can't use it, it's aser. And the Rashba adds, even if you buy it, so if Reuven, Noam fix, or Shimon buys the shovel from Reuven, it's still aser. What's the chiddush? Because I'll just show you real quickly. So I know that the Olam kind of forgot about the sugya, but we had 3 types of products. Zvina charifa, alape means alapanim, the worst stuff, like estroigim after sukkahs. So on estroigim after sukkahs, when it's shava b'shava, when it's just we're doing a little chazara, when it's shava, when you're buying it at market value, then it's mutter to buy. So says the Rashba, that's the L'chari the Pshan the Rashba, says the Rashba, even though we have this case where you're permitted to buy an object from somebody that you're mudar anar from, but it doesn't work over here. It doesn't work. Says the Gemara. So here we go. When a person makes a neder and he uses the lashon, it seems like that's what he's using. He's using the lashon of a koinam. He says this object should be a carbon upon you. When I asked the question before, everybody seemed to think it was a joke. Are you chayiv amila? Are you chayiv on this pasuk? If an object is owned by the Beis Hamikdash and somebody comes along and uses it or just puts it into his rishos, he's over an aveira. He has to bring a carbon and he has to pay for the object. And he has to pay 20% more than the object. The whole thing. What if it's not hegdish? I just said it should be upon you like hegdish. We learned it in our Mishnah. It says, in this case, here, remember this case? You don't have to remember this case. But let's say, we had a case of a guy returning an object to somebody that lost, but the guy that's returning it is the mother. He made a neder that the guy that lost the object should never be able to benefit from him. And the Mishnah says he's allowed to return it. And then the Mishnah says, but if it's a place where the guy that loses the object usually pays a little bit for his lost time, then what do you do with the money? You give it to Hekdesh, to the Beis Hamikdash. Question, why give it to the Beis Hamikdash? Take the money and put it in Yam HaMelech. Throughout shas, when you can't use money, what do you do with it? You grind it up, you put it in the Dead Sea. That's a normal lashon of the Gemara. What does it mean, give it to Hekdesh? Maybe give it to Ani, maybe give it to Yeshiva. Why give it to Hekdesh? L'chayra, we're going out of our way to say Hekdesh, Says the Gemara, to teach you a halacha that when a person makes a neder and he says that this object should be like a carbon, it's literally like a carbon in a way. You would have to bring a carbon. It's unbelievable. I get it. I understand the frustration here. It's very hard to understand. It's not a carbon. It's not a milah. L'chayra. It is. You said it's like a carbon. Go bring a carbon to the Beis Hamikdash. It's not even chulim ba'azara. It's literally you owe a carbon asham to the Beis Hamikdash. There's an interesting story. A person saw somebody put money into the kaisel. It reminds me now, because I said this last year, on my birthday, when I was like 18 years old or something, I was in Eretz Yisrael learning the Mir. So I decided I'm going to learn through the night at the kaisel. And it was a very lonely night. There was no one there, not a single person. Besides, one guy came and cleaned out the kaisel wall. He was hired by the city. He just took a broom, all the letters and everything fell on the floor, swept it away, and all the cash went into the guy's pocket. Saw it with my own eyes. I had fun. I opened up some of the letters that they were already hefker in the garbage. Please Hashem, give me a bike. I'm not joking. Please Hashem, the Giants should win tomorrow in the game. I'm not kidding. Crazy stuff. Anyway, a lot of them were not to Hashem, to other things. Okay, fine. But a guy saw somebody putting a large amount of cash in the kaisel. A wealthy Jew put money in the kaisel. After he left, he took the money out. $800. The story came to Rabbi Yashiv. What do you do? So Rabbi Yashiv said there's two options here. Either the guy donated it to the building of the Beis Hamikdash, and if that's the case, the money is asur, or he wanted somebody to find it and give it to poor people. Those are the two options here. Why else would somebody put cash in the kaisel? Says Rabbi Yashiv. And therefore, we have to be machmer. Maybe he put it in for the building of the Beis Hamikdash. So what's the eitzah? You could be paida, such a thing, but you have to be paida with 4 zuz. Take 4 zuz and literally put it in the Dead Sea so nobody could get to it. And then you take once you put the 4 zuz in the Dead Sea, then the $800 becomes yours. Fine. Well, you see this idea of Dead Sea. So why does our Mishnah say not Dead Sea? It says Hegdish to teach you this halacha. That's literally like Hegdish. It says Gemara Tanai. This is like a Machalis Tanai. Kainam kikar zu Hegdish. All of you are usher in my here. Here we go. You got this thing here. Kainam kikar zu Hegdish. I don't know if you could play this. Play it. Why not?
Hi, this is official. Kainem Kikar Zu Hektish.
That's it. Here, mamish. It's visual, audio. It's the whole thing going on here. What did he say to me? He says, "Did I do it okay? I don't care if you give me criticism. Just make sure it's not constructive." That's what he said. Zok Gemara. So he says, "Kainem Kikar Zu Hektish. You are all usher on this loaf of bread. It's hegdish. V'achalani ate it. Beinu ben chaver. Doesn't matter who ate it. Mal, you're over on the isser of me'ilah. You just ate from hegdish. Give them a brand new bread. Pay 20% more. Although the Ran doesn't say that. The Ran says, give a carbon. Okay, at least a carbon. Lefichach, and therefore, yesh lapidya. You could redeem it. And that's also a pasuk here. Ufada berkechav Yosef chamishasei olav. This is a concept that anything that's owned by the Beis Hamikdash, I can redeem it. I like the couch that the Beis Hamikdash has. I give the Beis Hamikdash $1,000 plus another 200 or whatever chaimish is milibar milagaf 25%. Let's call it 25% more. Another 250, and it's mine. But if he says kikar zu olai lehegdish v'achala, but if he said it's on me, just on me, this is on me, this is also super super interesting. Huma chaver le'ma. It's like semi-hegdish. It's only hegdish for you, not for anybody else. How does that work? I don't know. But since it's a very weak hegdish, it's only hegdish for you. Lefichach in opinion. Divrei Rebbe Meir. This is Rebbe Meir Shita. So you see this is machlokes Tanai. There's no me'ilah when it comes to neder. Lefi she'ein me'ilah v'kernomas. Again, excuse me, the Ran says the Allah is like Rebbe Meir, that there is me'ilah in a kainam. Why? Because Rav Nachman brought this as a raya he proved to Rava that this is how the Mishnah says it. Okay? And when there's a kainam, If somebody does it as a neder, you could redeem it. What's very interesting, Ran says a beautiful thing. Beautiful. He doesn't know. He says, what if a person, typically, when I eat a loaf of bread that's owned by the Beis HaMikdash, what happens to the loaf of bread? The Kedusha expires from it. It goes out to Chulin. So what if I eat a loaf of bread that somebody said that I'm also to eat beneder? Does the neder expire? Is it like Hegdish where the Kedusha expires? You just told me it's Hegdish, so let's go Hegdish all throughout, all the way through. He's Mesupik. Says the Gemara. Kikari alecha. He said this lashon, my loaf is also on you, that first case that we had, and then he gave it to him as a gift. Mimal. So he doesn't even know, this poor guy. I say to myself, this loaf of bread is also on him. And then I go and I give it to him. Was he over on Me'ilah without knowing? Now, you could be over on Me'ilah without knowing. If I don't know that this horse is owned by the Beis HaMikdash and I jump on it and I take a ride, I have to bring a carbon. B'shaygig. I did b'shaygig. But over here, it's different. Why is it different? So the Ran says beautiful because over here he didn't do anything. He received it. He just put his hands like this. The guy dumped the loaf of bread in his hands. If you go out and actively take the loaf of bread and you didn't know it's Hegdish, that's a different story. Then you have to bring a carbon. But if somebody dumps something in your hand, why should it be over maybe?
The guy who received it?
Yeah.
How could it be Hegdish to only one person? He says,
He's like, we said it's Hegdish to one person. Hegdish on yourself. Kikari Eli is Hegdish to one person.
violating my nether.
Yeah. No, it's Hegdish. We look at it as Hegdish. It's not a violation of nether. It's using Hegdish. You have to bring a carbon Hegdish. Carbon Mila. You have to bring a carbon Mila. It's Mamish Hegdish. You can do it on yourself, do it on one person. Says the Gemara, we got to run. The guy making the nether for sure is not over on anything because he didn't ask for it on himself. He asked it on his friend. But the guy receiving it, maybe he should be over. I can't be zoicha in something betos. It's a zechia betos. I'm acquiring it with a mistake. I don't want that. You're right. When he receives it in his hands, there's nothing doing. But once he starts moving with it, once he takes it, then the receiver, as unfair as it sounds, he's over on Me'ilah. When a person thinks that he's using an animal of Hegdish, that it's not Beis HaMikdash, but it turns out it is, he's over on Me'ilah, unfortunately. Avzeh, Mayal. Now the guy that, he has 4 minutes to do Amud Beis. Perfect. Says the Mishnah. We just turned to Amud Beis, sponsored by Yankel Cohen, the visual MDY MSP. L'schus being able to support limud hatorah and to finish shas with the rebellion. And the official Mishnah, l'schus of continued atzlacha and limud hatorah. Now you know who official from the official Mishnah is. That character right here, I don't know where he is. Somewhere. No, it's down here. Here we go. Says the Mishnah. Beautiful Mishnah. So I have a madrana. I have a madrana mudr. I have a guy that says, you're not allowed to benefit from me forever. Yet, here's another halacha, says the Mishnah, the Ladaita will leave for a different time. But Trumas HaMaisros, even though you're not allowed to benefit from me, I'm allowed to work for you and separate the 10%, the 2%, whatever percentage I'm doing, it's a lot of work. I'm allowed to do for you, even though you're not allowed to benefit from me. Mrs. Lavnehes can't benefit from mitzvah. Over here, the Mishnah, Chatayis and Hashamis we can leave on the side, or we can talk about it. The Mishnah is talking about 4 cases, l'chayra, that are, a person brings a carbon as a mechusar kippurim. What does that mean? A person, typically, let's say he's tameh, goes to the mikvah, and that night, Erev Shemesh, when the sun goes down, he becomes tar. But there's 4 cases where a person doesn't become tar at night. He has to wait until the following day and bring a carbon. After he brings the carbon, then he becomes tar. What are those cases? A zav and a zava, a yeledes, and a mitzayra, and a mitziras. 5 cases. Just real quickly, we don't have a lot of time, but just to go over it real quickly, b'chazara. What's a zav? A zav is a person who sees an emission. It's not a carry, looks like a carry, but it really comes from a disease. So if he sees an emission once, he's like a bal carry. So what does he do? He goes to the mikvah that day, and at night he becomes tar. But if he sees 2 emissions, it could be even in the same day. 10 minutes apart, 2 emissions, then he has to wait 7 clean days. And if he sees that's a Zav Katan, and if he sees 3 emissions, then it becomes a Zav Gadol. It could be in the same day, 3, or it could be in 3 consecutive days. Then he has to wait 7 days, and then he brings 2 birds. Chatas and Ayla. Those are kinim, 2 birds. Okay, a woman would be the same, almost the same thing. The difference is that a woman cannot see 3 emissions in the same day. Also, ziva, it's a different thing. It comes from a disease. Fine. So if, 2 days also different. 2 emissions not in the same, never in the same, not consecutive. 2 and 3, 2 days separation, 3 days separate. Fine. We're not going into ziva now. Just to understand on the surface. Now, I could bring those korbanos for you. You don't have money, whatever. I'll be your shliach. Why? Even though you're not allowed to have an offer me, mitzvahs lav and I can teach you Torah. Because Torah is not to have hana. Torah is the biggest hana in this world. That's a different question. Don't forget, the Shita says that when you teach somebody Torah, you become your own mitzvah. And what does Rav Moshe Feinstein say? That every person, just like you have to give 10% of your money to tzedakah, you have to give 10% of your time every day to teach somebody Torah. So I was thinking about it this morning, Bamis, I'm not joking. A lot of people don't give 10% of the time to teach Torah. So what I could do a deal with you. I will do it for you. You make me a shliach, just bring another person to the shir. I'll do it for you. Deal. Okay. To teach chumash you cannot do. Our melamed is bana ves b'noisav, says the Mishnah. You can teach your sons and your daughters mikra Torah. We're going to get into mikra real quickly because we're here. The Rambam says that a woman who learns Torah gets sechar, but not as much as a man. And then he says a father should never teach his daughter Torah. It's asur. Shulchan Aruch paskins, you never should teach your daughter not Torah shebal peh, not Torah shebiksav. However, the Chavetz Chaim says that in our days, mitzvah rabbah, he says. That's his lashon. Mitzvah rabbah, it's a great mitzvah to teach your daughter Torah because we don't have the strong hashkafa that they used to have in those generations. So the girls also need to learn a little Torah. Says the Gemara, Iboilu. Hani kahani, when a kohen shechs a carbon for you, shluchid idanavu or shluchid shmaya. What is a kohen? Is a kohen doing your job or he's doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The Chavetz Chaim, famous Chavetz Chaim. Why am I a kohen? You're not a kohen? Because my great grandfather jumped when Hashem said Mila Hashem Elai. They ran. Moshe Rabbeinu. They ran, and your great grandfather didn't. So Mamela, don't miss an opportunity. If you have an opportunity in life, you jump. Like what's it called? Hark! Do you hear the cannon roar? Don't miss the opportunity. Nachman's favorite story. So if you have an opportunity to bring somebody to Torah, Nedarim Volume 2, bring him, Rabbi Yisai, bring him, don't miss the opportunity. So what's the difference if a kohen is your shliach or Hashem shliach? Limud hana, gevaldik. If I cannot benefit from this particular kohen, if he's doing Hashem's job, I could benefit from him. He's not doing it for me. But if he's doing my job, and the Ran asks a beautiful question, how could I make a shliach for somebody that I can't do myself? You can never make a shliach on a thing that you can't do. Shliach shalom k'maaseh. I could do this. If I could do Kabbalah ilachas rika, then I can make a kohen my shliach. But if I cannot do shchita Kabbalah, I can do shchita, but not Kabbalah ilachas rika. So how could the kohen be my shliach? Obviously, he's Hashem's shliach. Says the Ram, beautiful. You're right. I just want to prove it from the Mishnah. So Agapanim says the Gemara. If you say that a kohen is my particular shliach, it shouldn't be allowed. But if he's Hashem's shliach, shari, then it should be okay. My Tashma, look at our Mishnah. This not. It says in our Mishnah that you could bring birds for somebody that's a zav and yeledes. Now, if I'm the shliach, how could I do it? As you see from our Mishnah that I'm not a personal shliach, I'm Hashem's shliach, I'm doing Hashem's job, that's why I brought it. Says the Gemara is not a good raya. Why? Why does the Mishnah, from all the karbanos in the world, you hear dak? Yep. Great. Why from all the karbanos in the world, there's a oila shlamim, this, that? All of a sudden, the Mishnah only talks about birds of a mitzvah, of a yoledes and a zav. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they're different than all other karbanos. As we explained, that's a mechusar kapara. the bird only comes to allow you to go into the Beis Hamikdash to eat kachim. It's not for nothing else. I already got my kapara the day before. Our mission is only talking about one case. Somebody that needs to bring a carbon in order to eat kachim. So that we're going to see, that might be a Matzayra, which is also, that's why we're not going to get into that one. The Gemara is going to talk about it. Shenemar, but it's a good kasha. Shenemar, Zois, Tayras has of. This is Mamish in the middle of the sugya, huh? Let's go a little bit more until we stop. Zois has of. Ben Gadol, Ben Katan will stop over here. Great. That what? That it says in the pasuk that I could bring a carbon for a zav, even if he's a katan, meaning he doesn't have das. In other words, I don't have to have his rishos. I just bring a carbon when it's a mechusik giburim only, but not a regular carbon. Oh, therefore, then I don't have enough from you. If anybody could bring it, I have to explain it again. You hear what I'm saying? Since I could bring it for you and I don't need your das, so I didn't do you a favor. Then Kohen did it for Hashem, not for you.